In May 2026, residents of Fayette County, Georgia, were told to stop watering their lawns. The county was in drought. At the same time, a data center 20 miles south of Atlanta was secretly drawing 29 million gallons of water from the county's supply. Through two connections the county didn't know existed. The data center was charged $147,000. No fines. The county water director explained why. Quote, "They're our largest customer. We have to be partners. This is not an isolated incident. It is a pattern. It is happening across the country, and the mechanism that allows it was built long before artificial intelligence existed. A data center is a warehouse full of computer servers. They run continuously. They generate enormous heat. To keep the servers from overheating, the facility needs to be cooled 24 hours a day. Most data centers cool their servers by evaporating water. A typical hyperscale data center evaporates between 3 and 5 million gallons of water per day. To put that in scale, 5 million gallons per day is equivalent to the water consumption of a town of 10,000 to 50,000 people. The United States now has more than 4,000 operational data centers, about 37% of the world's total. In 2023, U.S. data centers directly consumed 17.4 billion gallons of water. By 2028, that number is projected to between 38 and 73 billion gallons, a doubling, possibly a quadrupling. The driver of this growth is artificial intelligence. A single 100-word AI prompt is estimated by University of California Riverside researchers to consume roughly 1 bottle of water. Multiply that by billions of prompts per day. Return to Fayette County, Georgia. The data center in question covers 615 acres. It is operated by QTS, a company owned by the investment firm Blackstone. The project is internally named Project Excalibur. When the project was first pitched to local officials, QTS representatives told the Chamber of Commerce the facility would use about 2,000 gallons of water per day. Quote, "Like a traditional office building." The actual usage discovered in May 2026 was approximately 55 times that figure. The 29 million gallons were drawn through two industrial-scale water connections that the county's water department did not know existed. The discovery did not come from the data center self-reporting. It came from residents complaining about low water pressure. At the same time the data center was secretly drawing this water, the state of Georgia was under a governor-declared drought emergency. Residents had been instructed to limit lawn watering and household water use. When the county confronted the data center, it issued a retroactive charge of $147,474. The data center paid. No additional fines were assessed. No legal action was taken. The county water director, Vanessa Tigert, was asked to explain the decision. Her response, quoted by Politico and Fortune, was direct. Quote, "They're our largest customer, and we have to be partners. It's called customer service." In response to the discovery, the neighboring town of Fayetteville banned new data center construction in every zoning district. As of May 2026, more than 50 U.S. cities have enacted bans or moratoriums on new data center construction. Fayette County is not unusual. It is part of a national pattern. The Dalles, Oregon. Population, approximately 16,200. In 2006, Google built its first company-owned data center there. The town offered tax incentives that ultimately saved the company over $240 million. In return, the town received jobs and infrastructure investment. In 2012, Google's data centers in the Dalles used 12% of the city's total water supply. By 2024, they used 1/3. Google's annual water consumption in the Dalles grew from 104 million gallons in 2012 to 434 million gallons in 2024, a 316% increase. In the same period, the town's population grew 12% when the city of the Dalles signed a 2021 contract guaranteeing additional water for 2 new Google data centers. The Oregonian newspaper filed a public records request to see the terms. The city of the Dalles, with Google paying its legal fees, sued the newspaper to keep the records sealed. The argument was that Google's water usage was a trade secret. After a year of litigation, the district attorney ruled against the city. The records were released. They revealed Google was consuming over 25% of the city's water. Council Bluffs, Iowa. Google's data center there draws approximately 3.9 million gallons per day. In 2025, a separate facility operated by QTS, the same company involved in Fayette County, was found to have 40 unpermitted wells drawing groundwater without authorization. Northern Virginia. The state now has over 600 operational data centers. Loudoun County alone has more than 200. Northern Virginia. Data centers consumed nearly 2 billion gallons of water in 2023, a 63% increase from 2019. The pattern repeats. Different states, different operators, same outcome. If this is the kind of pattern you want to see exposed every Thursday, hit subscribe. The mechanism that allows this is not an oversight. It is a tax law written in 2008. In that year, Virginia created a sales tax exemption for data centers. The state's Department of Taxation projected the program would cost approximately $1.54 million per year. By fiscal year 2025, the actual cost was $1.6 billion, a miss of more than 100,000%. The tax break works like this. Data centers that invest at least $150 million and create 50 jobs in a Virginia locality are exempt from sales and use tax on the computer equipment they purchase. Servers, routers, chillers, generators. A 2024 state audit found that a typical large data center employs only about 50 permanent workers, roughly half of them contractors. In other words, the state forgoes billions in tax revenue. Communities receive 50 jobs. In fiscal year 2024, Virginia public schools lost an estimated $267 million in funding that the tax exemption would have generated. That works out to about $212 per student statewide. Fairfax County Public Schools alone lost an estimated $38 million in 1 year. According to Virginia's own Joint Legislative Audit and Review Commission, the state loses 52 cents for every dollar abated. The exemption is, by the state's own measurement, a net loss to public revenue. The state also reports that just 5 companies receive 82% of the tax break. The exemption is scheduled to run through 2035. Water is not the only resource being extracted. Electricity is the other half of the equation. A typical hyperscale data center consumes 100 megawatts of electricity, enough to power 100,000 American homes. The new generation of AI-focused data centers consumes far more. Meta's Hyperion project, under construction in Louisiana, is projected to require 5 gigawatts to operate. That is 3 times the electricity used by the entire city of New Orleans. The grid was not built for this. In Virginia, the Regional Transmission Organization, PJM, held its capacity auction in 2024. The price increased by 833% over the previous year. The cause was identified by PJM as AI data center demand concentrated in Virginia. The increase did not stay with the data centers. It flowed through to residential customers. In November 2025, the Virginia State Corporation Commission approved a Dominion Energy rate increase. The typical residential customer will pay an additional $11.24 per month in 2026 and another $2.36 per month in 2027. The commission stated explicitly that the increase was driven by infrastructure investment to accommodate data center growth. In response, the commission also approved a new electricity rate class called GS5 that requires data centers consuming more than 25 megawatts to pay for at least 85% of contracted distribution and transmission demand, even if they use less. This is an attempt to shift more of the cost back to data centers. It does not refund the $11.24 already added to residential bills. Nationally, U.S. data center electricity demand is projected to nearly double between 2025 and 2028, from 80 gigawatts to 150 gigawatts. That is equivalent to adding the energy needs of Spain to the U.S. grid in 3 years. Most of that cost will flow through the same mechanism. Residential customers will see it on their monthly bills. The pattern across every location is the same. A community is offered a data center as an economic development opportunity. The promise is jobs and tax revenue. The community offers tax abatements, water allocations, and grid capacity in exchange. The data center is built. It employs fewer permanent workers than a mid-sized restaurant. It uses more water than a small city. It demands more electricity than a county. The tax revenue arrives, but is offset by the cost of infrastructure upgrades passed to residents. When residents push back, they discover the deal was structured to make pushback difficult. Tax exemptions are written into state law. Water contracts are often signed under non-disclosure agreements. Local officials sometimes sign NDAs with developers and refuse public records requests. Some data centers have been built using shell LLCs to avoid public notice until permits are filed. The mechanism is not new. It was built for an earlier era, when an industrial tax exemption might attract a factory employing thousands. The exemption was designed to compete for jobs. Data centers do not employ thousands, they employ dozens, but they consume the resources of a small city. The tax exemption was never updated to reflect that change. Approximately 2/3 of data centers built in the United States since 2022 are located in regions already experiencing water stress. Phoenix, Arizona, draws 40% of its water from the Colorado River. The river's two major reservoirs, Lake Powell and Lake Mead, have fallen from roughly 90% capacity in 2000 to around 30% today. Texas is projected to consume up to 399 billion gallons of data center water per year by 2030. That is equivalent to drawing down Lake Mead by 16 feet. The pattern is consistent. The communities most at risk of water scarcity are the ones being asked to give it away. In May 2026, residents of Fayette County, Georgia, were told to stop watering their lawns. A data center secretly drew 29 million gallons of water. It was charged $147,000. No fines. The county water director explained why. They're our largest customer. This is the deal communities are making. Their water, their electricity, their tax base, in exchange for 50 jobs. The data centers are not slowing down. The AI boom is just beginning. The Dark Vault opens every Thursday. Subscribe, because the next story is already being built without you knowing.